Hi, I'm Bridget. I'm the Flow Flipper, and welcome to my channel where we talk about everything related to reselling, especially on online platforms such as eBay. And this week, like every week, I'm going to take you through my what sold. This is a great opportunity for you kind of to see what is selling quickly and selling right now, and also looking at what took a while to sell, and that gives you what not to pick up. So it's a good learning curve for everyone, myself included. So we're going to start off with eBay and go over our eBay sales. And I can tell you, my sales are very slow, but don't let that alarm you. Don't let it make you think that if you're selling that you should expect to have slow sales this summer, because sometimes you'll hear that, because it's really not true. I mean, my sales are really directly related to how much time that I have been spending putting up new listings. So I have a lot going on, and I'm making some big changes in how I'm uploading my listings and going through some of my online items and changing things. And it's time consuming, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And I'll go over a little bit about that in my next video. But today is all about what sold. So let's move right into our eBay sales from last week. Here we go. Okay, so the first item is a vintage Ralph Lauren graduated silver bead necklace. It was 18 inches, and I sold it with the matching bracelet, and it took 2 months to sell. And the cost was about $6 averaged out for the two pieces together. I purchased this on a Goodwill online auction where I purchased a whole bunch of vintage Ralph Lauren jewelry. So that's where I came up with the price. So you may have seen that I picked that up, or I posted it after picking out one of my bins that I need to go through, and it's been sitting around for a long time. So, and they sold for $36. So it's not too bad. And the next item to sell was just a little Arizona Jean Company girls teal butterfly short sleeve cold shoulder t-shirt, size 14-16. This I picked up in a bale where I purchased a bale of clothes at a thrift shop. So I was into it about 10 cents. It took 11 months to sell, and I sold it for $5. So that's not an item I would normally list on its own, but back a few years ago, I was buying bales of clothes and trying to list every item that was good in the bale, but I certainly wouldn't go sourcing just a little girl's t-shirt. Just not worth your time. The next item was a pair of Polo Ralph Lauren men's Telly Loafer driving brown pebble leather shoe, size 10.5. I picked these up for $7.50 at a local thrift shop. They took 2 months to sell, and I took a best offer of $20. So I just wanted to, I have so many shoes right now. I could have held out. I had them listed. My sale price on the shoes was $36. And I'm sure I could have eventually got them for that brand of a shoe, driving shoe. But I have so many shoes right now, and I'm still in the process of moving. Well, I'm starting the process of moving my items from where they've been stored, which is in a couple places, to my shed. We moved our first shelf to the shed for a live inventory last weekend. So this weekend, more shelves. Very excited. Sorry about the sidetrack. Back to what sold. Okay, so the next item is a Gerties new fashion sketchbook, indispensable for designing figure templates. It's like a little sketchbook it has like shapes of women and men and clothing. And it's kind of it was a blank book. It was brand new. I got it for $1.75 at a local thrift shop. It took 1 month to sell, and it sold for $20.80. The next item to sell is a pair of, well, I had 2 of them, and this customer bought 2 of them. Okay, so it's a pair of Watt Stopper PW 30210 occupancy motion sensors, white wall switch, energy efficient. So basically what these are these switches that you can install, and when you walk in the room, the lights, whatever they're hooked up to, the lights will turn on just by from the motion. So I picked these up at a garage sale. I paid $10 a piece, so $20. They took 2 months to sell, and I sold them for I sold them, it says 60 here, but I actually looked it up and I sold them for 80. So I'm not sure why. I see why, because they're saying that the sell price, they were 60 a piece, but I took a best offer of 40 a piece. So each one sold for 40, and that's why I'm telling you I sold them for 80. All right. The next item to sell is a bell pepper women's kimono blue embellished swim cover-up dress free size, which means basically one size fits all. This I got at a local thrift shop. I paid $1.75 for it. Normally I do really well with cover-ups. I buy like pretty fancy ones, not plain ones. They usually sell right away, but I've had this for 11 months, so it didn't sell last summer. I guess the design wasn't very popular. So I took a best offer of $8 for this, and like I said, it took 11 months to sell. Not a very good pick up. What not to do. Don't get that style. I think part of it was like you had to slip it over your head, and I think as a cover up, maybe something that you can slip your arms in, and it's either open or button or ties in the front. I think is the main issue there. All right, the next item to sell was an FSU, Florida State University game day platter or dish. It took 4 months to sell, and I picked it up for $1.50 at the Goodwill bins, and I took a best offer of $10. So just kind of a fun dish. It looks like somebody made it like in a ceramics class, and proud of your team. So this is an okay pickup at the bins. Our bins are terrible for hard goods, so if you find anything, it's kind of like a miracle. But the price is right if you find it. So that was, I'm guessing that it was $1.50 because it's sold. Those of you that are not familiar, Goodwill bins or the Goodwill outlet stores is how they're listed online. Is where you can go in and they have tables out and you can purchase items, and it's done by weight. So clothing will be one weight, and then like hard goods and maybe shoes are another weight. And in parts of the country, they'll have tables and tables of hard goods, which means, anything from housewares to toys and anything like that. Here in South Florida, you may have a couple tables of hard goods, but most of it's broken because people it's crazy. But anyway, 90% of what's in there is clothes, which is not the case everywhere. So check it out where you're at. It might not be as insane. So the next item we're going to go over is a Lucky Brand men's burnt red polo shirt, size medium. This was given to me by a friend to sell on eBay, so I have no cost into it. It took 11 months to sell, and I took a best offer of $6 because it was time to let it go. I'm not in the business of saving things for the top dollar. I'm in the business of moving it out. As long as there's profit, let it go. All right, the next item is a Nibco quarter turn, no kink hose bib, 3/4 male hose brass. My husband donated a bag of these to me that he acquired from, I have no idea where, but they weren't going to be used or able to be returned or whatever. I think they were sitting around. But they're all new. And I listed a whole bunch of them, and they've been listed. I've been selling them for 4 months now, and I've sold 7. I sold 1 on this sell, and I have 16 left to sell. So they're slowly going, but I only had to make 1 listing, and that's my favorite thing, is to have a quantity listing where you make 1 listing and it sells over and over again. And if you get it free, then it's the best listing, right? Doesn't get any better than that. And it's not breakable, and it's super tiny, and I can just pack it up in seconds and let it go out the door. And this one sold for $22.40. The next item to sell is a pair of vintage new old stock 1996 Fruit of the Loom men's briefs, or otherwise known as some tidy whities. These were size large. It was a 3-pack, size 38 to 40. And you know, there's some guys out there that when they find their underwear, they will do anything, pay anything, go anywhere to get the same when it's time for a replenishment. So even though these are obviously, you know, I put the year in the title because it was important that it's 1996, because today's tidy whities apparently are different than the tidy whities back in the day. And I can tell you that the vintage Fruit of the Loom tidy whities are like a bolo. They're a thing. The men loved them. Many men loved them. And so they pay up for them. These I sold. I got 4 of them. This was my very last one. I picked them up at a local thrift shop. This one took 5 months to sell. I got several offers, and I was into them for about $3.50 a piece. And all the other ones I sold for like $24 to $26. And I let these go. Actually, someone had bought them and not paid, and they were sitting out, and they weren't put back away in my bin. So when I got an offer for 20, and I was like, okay, they're already out, ready to ship, I was like, I'm just going to take it. And I made so much money on them. Let them go. And I'll keep hunting, though, for those older tidy whities for the men that want them. Okay, let's move on, guys. The next item is a Kenneth Cole new with tags, gray striped button down men's shirt, and it's got these wild patterns on it. I picked this up for $4.50 at a thrift shop. It was brand new with tags, and it was kind of wild and different. And usually wild and different sells. And this one, it took 11 months, and I took a best offer of $12. And hopefully they're not going to return it, because I think they just got it. And I can't remember. I see that in the title, I didn't mention that it has like metallic silver threads going through it. So it's truly going to take the right man to be able to pull it off, or even to like it. So hopefully in my description, I don't have it in front of me here, but hopefully in the description, I made it very clear about the metallic silver threads that embellish this men's shirt. All right, the next item to sell was a New Era New England Patriots navy blue NFL official bucket hat. So I've actually had this for about 10 months. I got it for $1.99 at the local thrift shop. It was football season. I don't know why it didn't sell then, because I think it's a cool little hat. But anyway, it's sold now, and I paid $1.99, and it sold for $15.99. All right, moving on. The next item was an Apartment 9 men's slim fit Premier Flex collar blue dress shirt, size 16 with a sleeve of 34 to 35. I got this, someone gave me this for free in a bag of clothes for me to sell. So I have no money into it. So that's the good news. But it took 11 months to sell. And it sold with the best offer of $8. And I'll tell you what, the fact that it even sold for $8, there are so many. If you were just to put a men's, classic work shirt like this, blue, it actually, if you look at it very closely, it has a fine little plaid to it, but very, very fine. So basically it looks blue under a suit or with some slacks. There are literally hundreds of thousands of, I don't know if hundreds, but thousands and thousands of men's work shirts on eBay. So you're competing against, think about it. If you thrift at all and you go to the thrift shop, there will be entire rows of men's shirts. And a lot of people have access to thrift shops where, like, a certain day of the week or something, all the clothing is $1. So, I would recommend, unless it's like a really top brand, search on eBay, find the top brands that aren't crazy brands like Gucci, and get familiar with them. And if you want to sell men's shirts, only pick up those shirts that are like top brands, or something that really pops out when you're looking at it, not like a plain blue one like this, something with a flip collar, a flip cuff or collar, which means a different pattern underneath. Those are very popular, but it's super competitive, guys. You're going to sit on it forever if you have something like that. But of course, if people are handing you bags of clothes for free and you've got the time, you can post them. But I will tell you a little trick. If somebody does give you something like that, and there are several items of the same size and similar look, like dress shirts, I'll tell you, the thing to do would be to lot them up and then sell them, so you don't have single shirts sitting in storage for 2 years. That one was 11 months, and that's too long in my book, but I was kind of glad it went. Okay, let's move on. The next item to sell was a pair of Zen Age men's sandals, US size 7 brown suede sandals. So you can see by the photo, some people call them Jesus sandals, anything that kind of looks like this with the brown leather and the rugged sole and the openings. These are closed toe sandals, so they're more like a hiker. But those used to sell decent if they were real leather. Not as much anymore. There's still, of course, some brands that do. I had these for 11 months. So they went through all last summer, didn't sell. I paid $4.50 for them at a Goodwill. And so I let them go for $24. Okay, the next item to sell is this vintage Italian Murano veritable white opaline vanity dresser jar, blue, hand painted. I bought this recently at a local thrift shop, and this is the kind of stuff I like to pick up and like to find. And it sold in 1 month, which is even more of a bonus. I got it for $4, and I sold it for a best offer of $30. And the next, okay, so that's the end of eBay. So I only had one, count them, one Poshmark sale. I just, I don't share on Poshmark, and I don't, a lot of people use software to share their closet because that's how it's very social, and you need to be in there several times a day sharing your entire closet and everything. I do not have time for that, nor would it be profitable enough for me to even do that. But a lot of people pay for software to do it and that sort of thing. But I just found out one of the tools that I already use, one of the software packages I use for cross posting, now has that capability built into it. So I can now use that software for an additional feature. I haven't turned it on yet because of, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm redoing how I am storing my inventory online. And it's taking some work because I'm moving things around and creating a catalog. I don't want to go too much into it today because this is long enough with what sold. But like I said, I promise I'll talk about it on my next video, at least give you some information where you can get the details of what I'm doing after I explain it. But what we'll see is when I do activate that sharing feature where it will share all of my items I have on Poshmark, because I do have a ton listed there, if it will change the sales that I get. That will be the true test. So we'll find out if sharing really works, which I'm sure it does. But let's move on to Mercari. I had a few sales. Remember last week I didn't, and this week I had a few. They were all on the same day. I don't know what's going on. So I had several sales all in one day, and every other day of the week I had zero. So I do not know how to respond to that. So we'll just share with you what sold. How about that? So the first item is a sepia of dragons, fairies, online, wizards, blue, wizard tower, creepy accessories. Obviously, I threw in a bunch of keywords. I'm not even exactly sure what this toy is, but I got like 3 of them in the same family, like similar toys, in an online auction, and I was into them for $6 a piece, and this one sold for $14.99. I think one of the 3 was like a really good one. So even though this was not, 6 into $14.99 is not good, but at least it sold on Mercari where there's no seller fees anymore. So, at least I made $8. Okay, the next item that sold on Mercari was a USMC Marine Corps seal sign on marble slat desktop shelf sign. If you went with or saw one of my earlier videos where I went sourcing at Salvation Army, you may have seen me pick this up. It's just like a vintage little sign. And I paid $2 for it, and it sold for $15. And it took 1 week to sell. I knew it would sell. The Marine Corps are very proud, and so something unique like that they can't just go in and buy somewhere today is super special. The last item that I sold on Mercari on that same day was this vintage Nibco Zodiac planter with an angel holding the star by the moon, and it's Sagittarius. So it's this little angel planter, and she's holding stars, super cute. This was part of a whole series of Zodiac planters. Not that it really matters, because the theme on this would be so cute in any child's room or a baby's room, or anyone that's into the moon and star theme and likes kitschy kind of things. You could put a little fake plant in there if you need to be safe for a baby or whatever. But this is on the bottom, you see that this is the Sagittarius one, and then each zodiac sign had a little planter in the series that was a little different. So it was kind of fun to look at them. You can Google them on they're by Nibco. You can Google them on or look them up, I should say, on eBay, or Google them and see the different ones in the series. They're super cute. But this one sold immediately. I paid $1.99 at the thrift store, and it sold for $29 like immediately. All right, so the last items I have are from Etsy. Okay, so the first item I'm going to go over is a vintage tooled leather Eagle Cigarette Belt Case USA. So it's, holds a pack of cigarettes and a lighter, and it's tooled with an eagle on it. This I got in an online lot of like wallets and stuff. I didn't really even know it was in there. And then I saw it in there. And so I averaged it out per piece. It's about $2. And I sold this for $24. And I forgot to write on the Etsy stuff. I'm sorry, I forgot to write how long it took me to sell them. But I know I posted this like about 3 or 4 months ago. So sometime, early spring or late winter. The next item on Etsy was a rare vintage Fostoria Vaseline glass platter or tray fleur-de-lis handle. So this is some of that uranium or Vaseline glass, so that if you shine a black light on it, it lights up and glows. It's really beautiful and very collectible. So one thing you can do, this greenish color glass is one of the most common colors that glow, and it glows like a bright yellow. There's also some red glass out there that is a different chemical makeup, and it glows like, I can't remember what color it glows, like yellow or something, like not red at all. It glows, but not red. But the glass is red. And there's a lot of clear glass out there that looks like just clear glass that will glow also. And the way to find it, if you're wanting to source for some of this glowy glass, is what some people call it, is you can buy a little tiny black light and bring it with you to the thrift shop. And you can shine it on all the glass, and it has to be kind of dark though. So you want to, if it's really bright, it won't do it. You could tell if you're really close to it, you can still tell it'll glow. But that's how you can tell. But anyway, I paid $6 for this at a thrift shop, and I sold it for $35. And like I said, I don't know how long it's been up, but I want to say like 2 to 3 months. The next item to sell on Etsy was this vintage Limoges bullfighting arena La Vie en Rose hinged trinket box. It's basically a little bull pen, and it opens up. I think originally it would have had a little trinket inside. I'm not sure what it was. Mine did not have a trinket. I bought this in an online auction. Where it was a whole bunch of trinket boxes. So I averaged the price out per trinket box, and I was into this for $5. And I want to say, I did look up this one because I could see where I pulled it down off of eBay. It took 9 months to sell, and it sold for $125. So that was a super awesome sell. There's some trinket boxes out there. Most of them are just bread and butter. They sell from $12 to $24, but the Limoges ones sell very well. And there's a lot of brands out there on trinket boxes. In fact, if you follow Kat, the nurse flipper, she recently did YouTube on trinket boxes and looked at some very high-end ones, not even like this one for $125. I think she started up at $500, but it would get you very familiar with brands to look for, little trinket boxes, because they get overlooked at these thrift shops because they're just tiny, and one may not look too different than, a $100 one may not look too different than a $10 one. So anyway, 2 more items. The next one on Etsy was a set of 4 vintage Spode England Italian 10.5-inch dinner plates, the blue and white pattern, in excellent condition. And I paid $12 for the 4 of them. They took 1 week to sell, and they sold for $68. And I still have the cake plate or platter. And the last item to sell was this primitive style fused metal and wood art horse. So I picked this up at a local thrift shop for $5. He's like about 12 inches tall. And I got I sold him for 30. Did I tell you I paid $5 for him? And he sold for $36. And that was my total sales for last week. So to just give you a quick overview. Oh, by the way, I did want to share once again, I try to remind you guys that when I give you the prices, I charge shipping. So they paid shipping on top of the numbers that I told you what they sold for. Okay. But with everything that I sold last week, my cost of goods was $73.35. So you can see very little cost in goods for all those items. And then my sales, of course, there are fees. Well, there's not fees with Mercari, but the other online sources have fees. So it's not really even what I'm taking home. But my total sales was $630.45. So I know that's a low number, but the important thing for you to remember is it's a great number if you look at 73.35 in to 630.45 out. So that's the most important factor. And of course, to raise the numbers overall, you have to list a lot more. So anyway, thanks for joining me. And if you're still here all the way to the end, please give me a thumbs up and or a like. And most important, please make sure you just subscribe, because I have some great videos coming up. If you're new, welcome. And if you've been following me, the next one that will be out will be one of my sourcing videos when I was in Alaska. So I have 6 more to go, and it will be coming out in a couple days. So if you're subscribed, you'll be notified when it comes out. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. And until next time, thanks guys. See you soon.